Peace to the family. Today I want to talk about, something that's been in the news lately. The concept of Alligator Alcatraz. Alligator Alcatraz is supposed to be an internment camp or detention center for quote unquote illegal immigrants. But it has its history in deep white supremacy, in images and in practice, right? If you go back in the annals of history, you will see that they had a lot of literature and advertisement issues depicting young black babies as alligator bait, right? Even the University of Florida, their mascot is the gators, and in the swamp, it's an allusion to if you come into the swamp, the gators are going to eat you, right? So now you have the conservative right wing propagating internment camps in southern states, in the swamp areas, like in Florida. We're talking around the Okeechobee region, which is actually native indigenous land, right? In Georgia, you're talking about Okefenokee, right? The Okefenokee swamp. And I remember when I was a young man, I used to hear stories from my grandfather and other elders about, the chain gang and how they would put them down there in the swamp and make them clean the swamps, hoping that the snakes and the gators and the big cats would deal with them. They would lose their lives by being out there in those swamps and things like that. I mentioned Georgia and Florida, but also we talking about Alabama, Louisiana, and Mississippi, right? And it's easy for you to do the research on these racist tropes and these racist images. It's as easy as typing in racist tropes of alligators and black people, African Americans, however you want to use the terminology, and you will see these images. These images are, I would say, probably 1900s, 1930s, where they really were into it in the state of Florida, and they were like on postcards, advertisement for cigars, whole host of things. But this whole notion of Alligator Alcatraz, it's been transferred onto quote unquote illegal immigrants. Like I say, that whole trope of the alligator, it's as prevalent as African Americans and watermelon, right? We got a whole lot of historical data that backs these things up, and they're subtly and not so subtly reemerging in American psyche nowadays, right? It's roughly the end of July 2025, and the talk of the society today is of an incident in Cincinnati, Ohio, after the jazz festival in correlation, and you know, I guess they had a lot of activities going on in downtown Cincinnati. Probably the Reds game, a couple music festivals, but we used to know it as the Jazz Festival. And what happened was, I guess they're Russian immigrants. Maybe they had been drinking a bit too much, and they began to challenge black men to fight. And they found what they was looking for. They say that the blacks, the African Americans, the FBAs, tried to ignore these people, but they were unsuccessful at ignoring these people, and finally a fight broke out, and they basically pummeled these Russian bigots, and even to the extent where a woman was struck, and you know, she was basically cold cocked. But the right-wing news are using the terminology is thugs and hate crimes, where the actual white man, the Russian, slapped the black man, and they basically served them with justice. And now it's a hate crime, right? So what I'm getting at is that whiteness as an identity supersedes nationality. I remember growing up, it was always the United States versus the Russians, right? In the Rocky movies, Top Gun, even this guy that just died, what's his name, Hulk Hogan. It was always him against the Russians. But when it comes to Hulk Hogan, a racist himself, but when it comes to American black people who served in every war, moral compass of this place, when they defend themselves, they're depicted as thugs, even against who was once the so-called enemy of the United States during the Cold War. We roughly talking about from the time of Kennedy, the Cuban Missile Crisis, all the way up to the time of Reagan and the fall of the Berlin Wall, the collapse of the Soviet Union and the Soviet bloc, aligned bloc states. Okay? But all of this is a distraction in terms of the current administration's issues with pedophilia, racism, white supremacy, immigration. It's to throw you off. Again, they're trying to charge these people with hate crimes. I think the charges that actually stuck with them are aggravated assault and riot charges around rioting. So it's how can I say it? It's historical record that these people they're trying to build more and more prisons to put people of color in. I'm talking about black folks, immigrants, and even to a certain degree the lower level of the Caucasian strata, right? But still, they white, and they have the right to terrorize black people wherever they at, you know. And it's you know, it's becoming more and more apparent that if we just look at the historical record and we look at today's society and try to clean up this society, we see what some of the problems are. Again, Neely Fuller in his code, he deals with those 9 areas of people activity. And I would say this probably falls under the people activity of war, because these people are at war against people of melanin hue darker than blue, melanated people, right? But I just wanted to touch on that topic of Alligator Alcatraz. So they again, we have the racist trope of black people being gator bait, associated with the fortress of Alcatraz, a prison that it was alleged that no one ever escaped from. So they want to perpetually put black people, melanated people back in slavery, imprison them perpetually for defending themselves against outward attacks in public that were unwarranted. No one likes to see anybody get beat down. No one likes to see women get struck or anything of that nature. But we got to call it straight across the plate. A ball is a ball and a strike is a strike. We look at it in terms of they've termed the people that won the fight as thugs and villains, but still you got police assaulting black women and assaulting black men on a daily basis, and there's no outcry against human rights in terms of those things. So again, just look into the history of things and see where the administration is going. Look at it for what it is, and call it a strike. If it's a strike, call it a ball if it's a ball. But with that, I say study yourself. A day without learning is a day without living. If you so choose, like, subscribe, share, even comment, but keep it respectful in the comments. I know it's a highly volatile issue, but use your cool head. Rule yourself with dignity and respect, and look at it from other people's position as well. Then I say peace.